the one thing that also really motivated me to talk about this was that I saw at that time, also from my own past, from how I was taught Islam and how I was taught to spread Islam, I saw how people lie about Islam very, very much. How there are many people who try to represent Islam or who try to make defenses for Islam and say, no, it's a misunderstood religion. It's a religion of peace. It's a religion of tolerance. It's love. It's misunderstood. Nothing to do with violence. And I was part of it. I know the community. I know this is nonsense. I know that it's a religion that is full of hate and intolerance, and of lies, and of threats, and
where does that come from then? Where does that myth come from?
Well, so over the first 1,000, almost 1,400 years, it was quite normal for Muslims to go around and be proud of the fact that they are a conquering, expansionist religion. Like nobody ever came and said, "Oh no, we're misunderstood, bro. Like we're just a religion of peace." Like this was not a narrative that was popular among Muslims. It's rather in the late 20th century, where an Islamic organization in the Middle East, an organization of Islamic collaboration, something, OIC, came out and started pushing this narrative that Islam is being misrepresented by certain people around the world, because people suddenly start getting more knowledge about Islam. The world is getting closer together after World War II, and becoming, having talks together on an international basis in the United Nations and so on. And people start noticing that Islam has a in comparison to all the other cultures that fought and made peace and so on, Islam seems to be specifically insistent on violence and on human rights abuses, on slavery. Like at that time, there were still multiple Muslim countries that were still running like legal slavery. The Saudi Arabian representatives were still coming to America while having slaves with them and so on. And so at that time, people start questioning Islam, and the Islamic representatives start coming together and forming this common thought of like, we have to basically defend Islam and fight this perception that Islam is especially evil.
Yeah.
So they start talking about how Islam is actually about peace, but at that point, their purpose is not to say we have to lie to people and say it's totally peace. To them, the explanation is, yes, there is war and there is conflict and there is fighting, but it is supposed to be done in order to bring peace under Islam to the world. But the narrative then starts getting corrupted and developing. And actually one of the main people responsible for this distortion here is very, very ironically George W. Bush, who was also an extremely unpopular figure in the Muslim world, but who famously after 9/11 came out and said Islam is a religion of peace. He gave a speech and he said that Islam is misunderstood, Muslims are not at fault, Islam is a religion of peace. And he basically gave this whole speech to kind of bring calm to people taking it out on Muslims in America. But this contributed to spreading this idea, like the idea that Islam is a religion of peace. This phrase became extremely popular after George W. Bush uttered it and started rising. And then Obama comes on later and says 99% of Muslims are totally peaceful and Islam is all about peace and all that. And it's clearly not. So over the last half century, but especially over the last 25 years or so, we have had this very distorted, weird idea that Islam is all about peace, when until then, for over 1,000 years, nobody ever even suggested such a dumb idea, that Islam is about peace. In fact, so two things. According to Muhammad himself, in a very, very corroborated, authentic narrative, he says that he has been sent by Allah to fight the people until they testify that none is worthy of worship except Allah, and that He is the messenger of Allah. So that's his duty. Secondly, one of my favorite sources actually, Ibn Khaldun. He's a medieval scholar of history and social matters. He's considered a forerunner in sociology today, even. You will be taught about him in sociology, in basic sociology. He wrote a book called Muqaddimah, where he basically summarizes the different cultures until now and so on. He says in this book that unlike Christianity and Judaism, Islam has a very, very distinct role in that it is a universalist and expansionist religion, and where the head of the state is also to be the head of the religion, the caliph, and he has the duty to spread the religion by will or by force. And this was the usual narrative among Muslims themselves, up until the last century, where things started getting really distorted and weird. And I'm one of those people who are just here to fight that distortion.
Thanks very much for watching that clip. You can click the link below if you want to watch the full interview, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.